Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another very exciting webinar put on by the Sales Rebellion. I'm going to start letting some people in here and letting y'all kind of just flow through. Give us a quick overview of what we're going to be speaking about as I wait for all of my panel speakers to come on stage. I'm actually going to bring them up one at a time and introduce them as well too. But first and foremost, thank you for your time today. It's a holiday season. Shoot, it's a Monday. I mean, I would think actually most of you would be here because it's a Monday. Like, what a boring, typical, just monotonous transactional day. Let's go hang out with some rebels. That makes sense to me for the most part. But I am super grateful to all of you for being here. Thank you for your time. Please chat it up. All right. So if you've never been to an Air Meet webinar with the Sales Rebellion, we have a public chat here that's wide open for all of you to send some messages and have some fun with. So please jump into the chat. Please talk smack. Please have fun. We gamify everything too. So all of you are getting scored on this. And I love all the happy birthday messages so far to Jeremiah as well too. If you're in the Rebel Refuge, you know that today is Jeremiah's birthday. And you're probably only here for that reason if you are in the Rebel Refuge, because I made you probably feel bad about it not too long ago with a post. Hey, come to this or else Jeremiah's birthday will suck. Although I'm sure his family will do some really nice things for him as well too. But let's get down to brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen, Rebels. But we're going to talk about mastering the art of the unexpected today. I really love that title. Shout out to Ollie Knowles and his brilliant mind for creating that copy for us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring a couple of very wise, very smart people that also in their businesses have been successful using things like direct mail, or as a business help with things like direct mail as well too, to give y'all a taste of what it looks like to be a rebel and use mediums that nobody else is using. Everybody's making cold calls. Everybody's sending cold emails. This has always been the case, and it always will be the case. There are very few that take the risk and hear the call of rebellion and do things like send some direct mail. It's a simple concept, really. In some instances, it feels so simple, yet it's so tough for people to understand how to successfully do these things. And mostly because, for the most part, it's not costly to pick up a phone and dial a number and say hello, this is a cold call. It's not costly to spend either get a free Gmail or $10 for your user license and send 10,000 emails to people and cross your fingers hoping that somebody will pay attention and do something like set a meeting, right? But really what we want to talk about is the human experience today. We want to talk about not just this concept of using direct mail, but like, why is it so effective? It's so effective because it's unexpected. It's also unforgettable if you can do it effectively, appropriately, tell a story, immerse people into what it is that the experience is providing for them. The simple details that we typically don't think about. Now, for everybody that's in here, as I bring some folks up on stage, if you don't mind letting us know where you're tuning in from, what country, what city, your mom's basement. That one's for you, Mark Jones. What's up, Mark Jones? Man, it's good to see some of these names. Zach, what's up, dude? Super excited you're here. Merry Christmas. Corbin, fellow Canadian out here, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, the Calgary kind. And by the way, I don't think we ever talked about this, Corbin, but your football team or soccer team played my soccer team in a Leagues Cup championship not too long ago. And I didn't want to maybe hurt your feelings when I saw you at Totality and mention that, but I wanted you to know that I highly respect your soccer team and club, and y'all are amazing. And if you don't even know who they are, whatever. Jacob, what are you doing at my mom's house? I'm at my mom's house. I'm actually downstairs from my mom's house right now. So you can make the joke all you want. I'm living it. All right, we got the UK, of course. Ollie coming on stage in a minute. Spokane, New York City. What's up, John Huckabee, Nick Cantone, Cedric? It's good to see all you guys. Marcus, what's up? Leo, Don. Oh, man. We got a crew in here, y'all. And ladies and gentlemen, the birthday boy himself. What's up, Jeremiah Griffin? How are you, bro?
I am awesome. I am 25 today, so never felt better.
Yeah, Beth is somewhere laughing right now for sure. Oh, I think I just saw her actually hit an emoji there laughing. She wants to tell people how old you really are any minute now. She's going
Not
to,
gonna
and I
happen.
feel it.
Can't get up on the stage. Not gonna
I
happen.
freaking feel it. I feel it. All right, y'all. Jeremiah is going to be speaking at some point and presenting some of our postcard concepts for holiday outreach. Also, our Rebel book, our unwritten story. He'll be talking about that a little bit more as well too. Um, but alongside of him, we also have the legend himself, the man, the myth, Ollie.
Hey,
Ollie is representing Scribeless, Scribeless.ai, if you want to check out the website. What's up, dude? Oh, it's what, 8 o'clock where you are?
no,
9 o'clock?
no, it's just 7 o'clock for us. But happy Christmas,
Oh,
everyone. Just be
happy
happy to be
Christmas.
part of the team, and yeah, looking forward to showcasing some pretty cool stuff today. And nice to meet as many
Yeah.
rebels as we possibly can. And happy birthday, Jeremiah, sweet 17. Never been kissed before.
Rebels, also give it up for Ollie. Ollie is one of the reasons why we were able to have a successful totality. He's one of the financially contributing members of the sponsor list, a rebel himself as well too. And if you were at totality, you actually experienced one of the coolest things, the golden ticket exercise that we ran, which was really fun. So if you know, you know. And last but not least, to move on to stage here, we've got the literal dude that created what we're talking about today, like the man that's in charge and responsible for audacity inside of the sales space. And right now he's not even on screen, which is the best part about all of
Is he
this.
actually here?
I'm not sure what's
Did he fall
going
in the
on.
water?
So he's
I-
here for sure, but like we can only see his digital background right now, which is
I know.
just-
You know what? I think I'm behind the background. I'm not sure.
This has,
I
I'm not
kind
a
of like
cat vibe.
I kind of like the way this looks actually. Stu. I think we're gonna keep things this way. Although we will start to privately message you in the chat here in a second to help you with the settings.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. That's crazy.
You can get rid
Stu
of
is
that
here.
background.
He is not a cityscape.
Listen, y'all, Stu Heineck is really here. This isn't some kind of bait and switch. I swear to God. He's really here. Oh, look, we got Leah in the house. Actually, check that out, Allie. Leah is in the house. Leah, the winner of the golden ticket, recipient of the Scribeless golden ticket of totality. I love that you are here, Leah. It's good to see you. It's great to see you too, Stu. We're excited about your presentation that you're going to give here in a second. But I believe
Yeah. I hope
actually-
you enjoy my picture of the city. For one thing.
It's on the 60th
You don't
floor
live
of the
in that-
tower block.
You don't live in that city. Tell the people where you're actually coming from right now, Stu.
I'm
Where you're at.
I'm on an island that just had this big windstorm and trees are blowing over and the power was out. Wasn't even sure I could join you. And then this is like, I'm still not even sure. Look at that.
Yeah, well, like it might have given you your power back, but it's taken away your ability to be seen here
Yeah.
by the rebels at this point. So, hey, let's do this. I know that Stu has some of his presentation is video and audio. I think Jeremiah has access to those things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Jeremiah take us through those links real quick for everybody's viewing and listening pleasure, and then we're going to go back to the legend himself who has showed up but not showed up and take his presentation in the most unique way that it's ever been seen or experienced in the history of Stu Heineck presentations. So Jeremiah, go ahead and launch the video if you will, and we'll be
Hey,
patient.
actually, before you do that though, let me
Yeah,
set it
go
up.
ahead.
Yeah, let me set it up. You know, the thing is, I wanted to talk in our session this morning about personalization. Personalization is incredible. It's magical. And I don't think it's very well understood, actually. And, you know, here's a secret about personalization. We always think it's about the person we're reaching out to, the person we're sending a piece of mail to. It's actually about us. Isn't that crazy? We're actually personalizing ourselves so that we humanize ourselves. We're showing the person that we're reaching out to that we know you, we know your needs, we follow you. What we're going to tell you, the reason why we're connecting is relevant. And so does that make sense? Yeah. So
It's beautifully said.
so you know, personalization comes in a lot of forms. I've used cartoons my whole career to do this, and so yeah, and it's an incredible effect. And what I would like to do is we'll go ahead and share this video. But before you start it, Jeremiah, I just want to say, when I send cartoons around to people and they're about them, they're about them themselves, they go nuts about this. And I hear about the reactions later. It's like, oh yeah, I got it, and this happened, or yeah, the CEO got it, and he's been walking it through the office all morning. I hear about these reactions, but I'm never there. Obviously, I'm never there to see them. So one day I sent this piece that you see in the video to Billy Jean, the marketing influencer from Instagram. I don't know if you guys know him. Dale, is his name familiar?
I know who he is.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself. So I sent him this piece, and his assistant got it. He wasn't in yet. And she thought, oh, this looks interesting. I'm going to just shoot a quick unboxing video to show Bill what came in. So with that, let's take a look. She filmed her reaction. This is the reaction we're after in all of these campaigns.
I usually wait till you get here, Bill, to show your packages, but this one's pretty cool, and I'm too anxious to wait and show you. So here's the reveal. If I can get the cap off. Read how awesome this is. The Tale of the Hired Gun. I ever tell you fellas the story of the Billy Kid? Yep, sure did. How about Wild Bill Jean? You mean the marketing miss from San Diego? At least 100 times before. Yep, you can say that again. Look at the back. I'm kind of in love with this guy. Mad respect.
So there we go. I was just looking at Dale's. Sorry, Dale. Looking at your text. But so we could take that off if you want to see the city again. There you go. But so that's what it looks like. Dale, when you send those donut boxes, it looks exactly like that. They're opening it up and they're going, oh my God, look at this. Look who sent this. This is incredible. And that's exactly the reaction we want. So we just want them to become excited about, well, really to stop what they're doing and then connect with us. And, I had this really interesting experience with personalization when I started my career a long time ago, when I wanted to create direct mail campaigns for all the big magazine publishers. So I put together a quick little piece, just a little cartoon, kind of like what you just saw, actually an 8x10 cartoon, and a note. And I explained to them that I just used that same device, that personalized cartoon, to and I was writing to the magazines, to the circulation directors, at Time Inc. and Condé Nast and Forbes and so on, all these big publishers, and I said, this is the device I just used to beat the controls for Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit. I think we should put this to the test for your titles. And so sent that a little note with the print. I got through to all of them. All of them agreed to meet. All of them became clients. And in fact, that little campaign to about 24 people, I spent about $100 on it, and it ended up propelling me into, like, I became the top creative talent, or one of the top creative talents in that market almost overnight, because it was all about personalization. It was all about that interesting use of personalization. So personalization can take a lot of different forms. It could be just like sticking someone's name in something. And when all of this started, again, way back when I was bringing the cartoons out in the mail, a lot of copywriters were saying, the two most important words anyone can hear are their first name and their last name. And so they'd pepper it throughout the letter. Say, they'd be saying, John, you know what? You go like this. And don't forget, John. And what about what's going on in the sample household? So they would just pepper it way too much. They weren't quite using it right. But when it's used really well, and I know Dale, I hope you're going to show one of those donut boxes or talk about it, because that's a great use of personalization, and it becomes just this device that causes people to just stop what they're doing and notice, just stop and notice and say, who is this? I got to meet this person. So there are a couple of different versions of actually a lot of different versions of personalization. And in one of my books, Get the Meeting, I I made the distinction between wide and deep personalization. So wide is what I was doing with those cartoons. I was sticking people's names into the captions of the cartoons. Those were going into mailings for, clients like, let's say, Forbes magazine and the New Yorker and so on. And they'd go out to maybe 1 million people. But first we'd test it to see what kind of reaction it got, what kind of response it generated. But once it became a rollout, it would go out to millions of people. So one of the things that's really interesting about wide personalization is it allows you, because you're sending the same thing to everyone except changing the names. So if you're using a cartoon, it works really well. If you're so what you get to do though is you get to test and refine that creative, let's say, and it's going out, ultimately it goes out at a huge scale, but it's going out in a very refined way. You've tested it, you know what works, and you can keep doing the same thing, you keep repeating what works. Versus deep personalization. So deep personalization is based on using profile scrapes. And you might find out that someone's really interested in falconry. Well, send them something about falconry. They're going to be going, wow, that's really cool. Or you might spot something in their profile, like in the background of their profile picture. Actually, Mikey Pauly did this. He spotted a sticker for a particular brand of coffee. This is, somebody's profile picture on LinkedIn, but behind him on the bulletin board were all these things sticking up on the bulletin board. And he happened to spot a sticker for this very, very obscure brand of coffee. So what did he do? He sent him a pound of that coffee. And the person on the receiving end was going, my God, how did you know that was my favorite coffee? Well, he did a little bit of digging. He found out. And so that's also a very effective form of personalization, but it's very, very granular. You can't test things. You're not going to test sending that a pound of that coffee to everybody else. You're not going to get the same results. So it's very, very individualized, but also very effective. Both of them are absolutely valid. And I would say another version, really interesting version of personalization is just writing something by hand. A handwritten note is very, very well, it's a great form of personalization. The person receiving it says, my God, whoever this is, they sat down and they wrote me this note. I need to read this. This is, they know me. They know who I am. This is well, they won't say this is personalized, but this is something I need to pay attention to. And it is causing the sender to stand out because it looks like they sat down and wrote the note. So I guess the thing I want to just say about personalization is that the objective is always to humanize ourselves. And we want these people on the other end to say, my God, wow, who is this? This is incredible. We want to get that kind of reaction. And so I want to share with you one more file. So this is an audio file, and I want to set this up as well. Many of you may know Rick Dees, you may not. He's a radio DJ, was one of the top DJs in the country, if not the world. He's been syndicated around the world, and he's my client. I've been doing Christmas cards for him for the last like 30 years. And so, his Christmas card just went out. They're going to be personalized cartoons. And so one of the cards landed in Machine Gun Tom Kelly, with another a personality on Sirius SM radio. And so he got his card, and he went on the air and talked about it a little bit with about Rick's Christmas card. And so Jeremiah, if you would play that real quick. This is the reaction we're trying to get always with personalization and with these outreach campaigns.
Yeah, it can sometimes be a little trickier to play audio files, but let's see here.
We believe in you, Jeremiah.
I can do it. Put me in, coach.
Jeremiah, I'm not going to criticize. Look at my picture.
Can anybody hear that?
Nope.
No?
No.
Nothing? Yeah?
No.
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 All right. Hold on a second.
Can you
I mean,
be
it
creative,
says I'm
Stu?
sharing.
Sing it in a song form. Here we go.
The honeycombs and have I the right shot?
Yeah, now we can hear it.
Yes,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
all right. So let me just back up just a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Can you hear it okay? It's coming through loud and clear?
It's
You
as
are.
good as it'll get, it sounds like. So
Yeah.
smash it.
Okay.
There they are, the honeycombs and have I the right shotgun Tom writing on 60 Phil. Hey, listen, I got the right to, tell you that the Christmas cards at my house is starting to come in, and I love them. Probably your house too. I got this Christmas card from a guy you know, talking about Rick Dees. And Rick was, in Los Angeles at Kiss FM for so many years. I don't think Rick knows the story, but before we knew each other, I visited Kiss FM, and he was doing his nationally syndicated show at the time. And he was working with a guy by the name of Don Elliott, who, by the way, is the voice of the announcer in the next one of London. But anyway, I was watching Rick and how professional he was. I mean, he was very busy, and he's still doing the national show. And I remember I was walking, he lives in Toluca lately. We were walking the dog, me and my buddy Johnny K. And there's Rick. And he said, "Hey, you might have believe it, baby." And so I got this Christmas card from Rick Dees, and it's really funny. I got to tell you, here it is. It's a picture of Santa. It looks like a very thin Santa, and his reindeer and Santa's helpers. And here's what Rick Dees' card said. He started taking Ozempic 2 months ago, and now there's no way Shotgun Tom Kelly will ever recognize him. Oh, that's so cool, Rick. Thanks so much, man. And Merry Christmas to you. By the way, I got my Christmas card. All right, here we go.
There we go.
That was
Thank
it, right?
you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Jeremiah. Well, that's again. It took a little while to get to it, I suppose, but that's the effect we're looking for. We want people to be thrilled. And Dale, I know that happens. For example, when you send those donut boxes, I love those. And Oliver, I know that's happening when your handwritten notes go. I mean, they go out at scale. It's incredible. Your technology is amazing. These handwritten notes go out at scale, and we know that that's happening. I mean, that kind of reaction is happening, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the power in like what Stu's saying too is that the buzzword is personalization. I think what we have to do is look past how people have stereotyped that as some kind of negative word. And as rebels, we have to understand that really what it is just the emotion of making people feel seen and heard. So right now, there's thousands of salespeople reaching out to them on a yearly basis, like quite literally for anything and everything that you can possibly imagine as well too. That your SaaS product isn't the only thing that's on their plate as far as things to purchase. These people and these organizations are doing things like buying supplies for their employees. They're buying healthcare plans. They're buying, I mean, the list goes on. You have to deal with tons of salespeople. It makes a lot more sense to have a really good relationship with somebody that takes care of these things. And so when we're reaching out to people, if we're not providing emotional context, if we're not creating an experience, if we're not pushing the envelope and just in general in regards to the way that we're making people feel, and being very radical about that, because really what we all should be looking to accomplish here is to find our tribe. Like not everybody is going to do business with you, but if you're out there looking for the people that are going to really particularly resonate with this one instance of a person making that human feel like, hey, I didn't just dial you off a list of 10,000 other people, but I have done a little bit of research. I know jack about you except for what I could find on the internet, but I want to make the effort in this process to make you feel like I am trying to earn your individual business and not the business of the collective on this list that I'm dialing off of. To me, that's really what Stu is aligning with from the perspective, again, of how we make people feel. And ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful man himself is on screen. And I told you he was here. It wasn't an AI robot.
I was behind the background, apparently.
It's good times.
Wow, crazy.
It's good times. Now, I know that. So we got a lot of good banter over here. But I'm curious, as everyone's listening, is there any questions for Stu? Is there anybody out there that just has something in particular that they want to ask Stu or bring up about what Stu is saying in his presentation? Please feel free to throw us something over here in the chat if you do, so that we can have the man, the myth, the legend himself identify your question and give you a very direct answer to it as well too. So you can throw it anywhere in the chat as well. You don't need to throw it into the actual question section. You can just throw it into the general chat for us. But as we ask that question, I also want to jump over to our next presenter, and we're jumping to Ollie now, correct? You're ready to go, right? Or do you want me to jump over to Jeremiah first?
I think Jeremiah
Is that your preference?
Yeah, I think Jeremiah first because it will naturally flow into how we kind of.
Fine.
Jeremiah, sorry, hot potato to you, buddy. Come on, mate.
I feel like we should give Stu a quick round of applause though, because how to get a meeting, well, for the presentation, but also how to get a meeting with anyone was just rated the #1, I think, prospecting book of all time.
Yeah, that's right. #1 sales book in prospecting.
Yeah. Where was it named
National
#1?
Prospecting Standard Side.
So it was the Sales Daily newsletter, and they just released the top 72 sales books of all time in prospecting, and I was so shocked to see it at the very top. I'm just next to Jeb Blount's book on prospecting. I'm like, what the heck? How did this happen? But anyway, yes.
Well, no, we
right.
got to get you past that book, dude. Like, you got to be over that book. Like,
I am.
He's #1.
Yeah, thank
I hope
God.
Deb's not listening. But
Who would have thought it that you could send creative cartoons in the mail and beat out the guy that calls someone 52 days in a row until they answer?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. That's right. That's pretty crazy.
True, who knew? Maybe the guys on this webinar knew, but maybe not. Who knew? Well, great job.
Do you want to be talking or answering any of these questions now, or should we wait?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah, we're gonna do that since we're super rebellious and we just do whatever we want. The first question I'd like for Stu to answer is, do you have a playbook similar to the Rebellion playbooks where you outline this outreach?
I don't have a playbook. Depends on what the campaigns are, and so so a lot of times now, if I'm using cartoons, they're either cards, and I don't know. Do we talk about the Rebel story yet? Should we do that at all? Because
we will be.
Yeah, maybe it's a big secret, and I shouldn't be talking at all about it. But but anyway, sometimes it's cards, and sometimes it comes out as these giant. Well, I call them big boards. They're these big foam core boards that are sent by FedEx, and so when we're working with clients for those, then yeah, there's a playbook for. There isn't an actual book. There's a script for that, and it's really cool because you get to call up and talk to the assistant and tell them, hey, I'm calling because I'm sending a cartoon about your boss. I'm going to print of a cartoon about your boss by one of the Wall Street Journal or New Yorker cartoonists. And usually the assistants are saying, wait, what really? And it's about the boss. Yeah. So would you mind if I get your email and I'll send you all these details because you want to know. And if you need to contact me, I'll put everything in there. Sure. Here's my email address. And you send them an email. Thank you so much for your help on the phone. And again, this is what I'm doing. And it should arrive in about a week. And you send them a card, a personalized cartoon card, and they will never throw that away. And so do that. And then offer to then when you have the FedEx tracking number, send that to them, let them know when it's arriving. So by the time all this takes place, then the assistants they're sort of playing quarterback for the campaign. They'll make sure that their boss gets it. And they're already sort of, you got to take a look at this. They're already supporting it. So not a playbook per se, but by campaign we have all the directives that are needed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So this next one's my favorite question because I can't wait for you to tell this person the answer. What inspired the comics? Background in art or humor? What's your answer, Stu?
Oh my God. Well, I'll just, when I was a 10-year-old kid, you know that story, right? So when I was a 10-year-old kid, like all the other 10-year-old kids or that thereabouts, my brothers and I were sneaking Playboys out of my father's dresser drawers. And of course, we were reading the articles, but but I was noticing the cartoons. They had some of the best cartoonists in the world in that magazine. Two really stood out: Gahan Wilson and Eldon Dedini. And when I was wondering as a kid, wondering, well, who are these guys? And then later when I just became, I don't have a background in art. I just loved doing it. I loved drawing the cartoons. I was inspired by Playboy. And later on, I recruited all these great cartoonists. And the first two that I recruited into my group, into my agency group, that is, I had a stable of cartoonists, were Gahan Wilson and Eldon Dedini from Playboy. So that's kind of how that got started.
So good. I love that story. We have one from Zach here that I want to get back to real quick. Okay, so Zach said, we talk a lot about top of funnel. How would you apply personalization to running deal cycles?
Oh man, I don't know that I'm a good person. I guess there are a couple of ways that shows up for me, but I don't think this is a thorough coverage of it. But if it gets stalled, if there's anything that happens sort of to stop it from moving through the pipeline, we have great cartoon cards that we send out. So if a proposal has stalled, it's almost, well, I don't look forward to that, but we kind of look forward to the reaction that we get to send out. And kind of like your donut box, Dale, I think, because it's a cartoon of a guy and he's cradling the phone on his shoulder and he's going through some papers and he's saying, hey, listen, Dale, if you were delaying, I would send one of these to you. And so he's going through the papers and he's going, hey, listen, Dale, we got your proposal and we like everything except having to pay you. And that usually causes people to say, oh God, I've got to call Dale. I've got to call him back. And I mean, I didn't realize I was dragging my feet this much, but yes, I need to do that. I need to call back. And if someone's just delaying, we've got one, this angry butterfly. I'll see. I don't know if I can find it on my desk. If I can, now I'm not seeing it, but an angry butterfly on the phone again. And he's saying, don't put me on hold, Dale. I only have a 2-week lifespan. So these cards, they're great little, it's one thing hearing me recite this on a green screen and another to receive it in the mail. And when you do, they're great little prompts. They're not they're not I don't know, insulting or they just sort of, they're just disarming is what I mean to say. And so no matter what kind of message you're trying to give them, hey, come on, let's go. Or why aren't you returning my phone call? They deliver it in such a disarming way that people just, they just go, oh my God, yeah, he's right. I got to call him back. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
a great answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Move the pipeline completely, but it does help.
It's great. We have inside of the Rebellion, we have a whole playbook on this one as well too, and a concept around a deal cycle being 42 months all the way down to a 90-day deal cycle. And a lot of what Stu is saying resonates heavily because it's just about the experience. So if I know that somebody's not going to buy something for 3 years, I can't disappear and show up 90 days before that 3-year mark and be like, oh, hey, remember me? Can I sell you something? You have to give people a continuation of the original experience that got their attention. That's why we push so heavily on top of Funnels Act, because people need to understand that if you don't start with a good experience, you can't extend that experience into the rest of the deal cycle to begin with. Speaking of experiences, Jeremiah Griffin, you want to jump into your segment of the presentation real quick and go over a couple of these really cool experiences? Y'all get ready to get your mind blown by the birthday boy. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not going to be real long. First, I wanted you to mention a couple things for local sellers that you've done in the past when you were the copier warrior, specifically around Christmas time, because I know we've got folks in here that are local and they can drop things off or go to places in person rather than just mail. So I figured you could hit them with a couple things, then I come in.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I think my favorite one around this time of the year was the Christmas carolers. So I actually hired locally. I hired a group of Christmas carolers to go and sing Christmas carols, but they were basically songs rewritten to include the copier warrior into the lyrics, and also the name of the organization that I was calling on. So, and they do like 2 songs, and basically hand one of my crazy business cards and then peace out, right? So I think that one was highly effective, and from a local standpoint, it's really difficult to pull off unless you are local, because you have to go build a relationship with some carolers in the area, and you have to know like the highways and byways of getting to these places to make sure that you don't get people stuck in traffic. And so it's highly calculated. And then I was also rolling around right behind these people, not too far behind them, with some Christmas treats additional to that. I'm trying to think of ones that I don't say all the time. And one of them that just came to mind is I actually got a full nativity scene created for a giant engineering firm out in the Space Coast. They had a guard gate, which those of you out there that have to sell to people with guard gates know it's very difficult to get much further than just the security guard at the front. And so at this guard gate, I told the guy, I said, I have a delivery for so and so, but I'm just going to leave it over here. They can come out and get it. And they were a little weirded out by that, but there was this big grassy area. And so they were like, yeah, that's fine. And I pulled the car over, and I actually had a literal van that I had rented, and I put an entire nativity scene out where Jesus was a copy machine, and I put like my stuff on the copy machine as well too. So it was like the copier warrior was born kind of thing. It was totally blasphemous and amazing, and that got me like an instant meeting as well too. And it was funny because they were totally watching me set this thing up. I did it in like 4 minutes, like record time, sweating everywhere because in Florida it's never cold. Period. It was amazing though. That was probably one of my favorites. Like the local effect is really this idea of what Stu said. It's less about scale and more about impact. It's more about making people, because I also found information about these people that like I knew a caroling company would be impactful. I knew a nativity scene would actually tie back into something in their story. And even if the person receiving it didn't like connect the dots, it's almost like a subconscious thing that happens in those moments where the feeling you give people of familiarity and relevance, that it just literally like ignites in those moments. You don't have to tell much more of the story. And even if they never say to you, hey, how did you figure out this? Like, did you do this on purpose? Even if they never have that conversation with you, I promise that they got a little bit of a taste of just how deep you're willing to go in order to get their attention.
Yeah, I thought you would have been like the copier Jesus, and the copier would have been like the devil or something though. So that's cool. That's just some good examples. I would say that the carolers, you might be able to do that as a digital touch though. Get that same concept and do it over video. I think that would work. Okay, I'm gonna go pretty rapid fire through some things because I want to get to Ollie and give him plenty of time too. So really wanted to just go through a couple things that the Rebels pretty much, probably everybody here knows about already, like the letter campaign, the unwritten story, postcards and stuff. I show a little bit of a holiday spin. So first of all, I'd say on the crumpled letter, the letter campaign in general, it's pretty easy to customize that to Christmas. All you really got to do is change your bullet points, change a little bit of copy around Christmas. Jason Fennell would probably take a picture of himself in a Santa hat, maybe even the beard, and he would put that on the bottom of the letter as well. So an example of a bullet point that I did for an insurance guy, because insurance reps are famous for, only showing up at renewal time every year and saying, hey, give me your money. And so the bullet point was like, hey, your rep's name for a problem point might be your rep's name might as well be Chris Kringle because he only shows up once a year at renewal time. And then I had like a heavy set business guy over here with Santa's head and face like photoshopped on his body and stuff. And so it's a really easy change and stuff. The unwritten story. So this is a Christmas book or Christmas cover that I just did for a client. I'm going to tell you how you can get this exact one in a little bit, but you guys know the concept of the unwritten story. The unwritten story has a cover that is very, hypey like a book would, where the author's name is your prospect. You are the author, you are the co-author or the illustrator, and your prospect has an about the author section. You would have an about the co-author or illustrator section on the back. It's going to be hypey, include some totally fake quotes, and add a lot of humor in. It's just a great touch. But this one is specifically around Christmas. So this is called A Christmas Miracle in Omaha. Obviously, that's like where the client is located. It's got their logo right here. This is a physical therapy or a medical firm, and so it's a building there with their logo on there. It's got the snow, it's got Santa and everything. Some of the prospects' name, some of them were named. Their names were Chris, and so I titled the book "The Christmas Miracle," Chris-MAS, and so you can get fun and playful with all that. But that's the unwritten story. Of course, on the inside, in case you haven't seen the unwritten story yet, is that all of the pages are blank, every single one. So we put a sticky note that says, "Hey, who's this? Josh." So, hey, Josh, the pages of this book are all blank because we have yet to write this story together. And then you can even end it there, or a lot of times I'll put, "Sounds like it could be a bestseller, though," and then just sign off with our name. There's no call to action as far as like call me or email me or anything. It doesn't include contact info anywhere. Okay, it's just something that they're going to remember and we follow up on. So that's the unwritten story. I gotta share my screen. Let me hit you guys with these postcards real quick and then tell you how you can get them. I like these as well. You guys can see this, I'm assuming. Dale, you guys can see this?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through these pretty quick. You guys can get the concept that it's just supposed to be, funny or, unrelated to Christmas. We've got some sample messages for you guys to handwrite, or if you're sending out a high volume, you could use Scribeless. I think we're past their cutoff for this Christmas, but keep in mind for next Christmas or for other cards throughout the year, obviously your letters or anything. And Ollie will tell you more about that. But this is an example of like an un-Christmas card, so they're going to get it. It has Happy Holidays on it. This is Isaac Newton, in case you couldn't tell. But his birthday is on Christmas, and so that's actually it's called Grab Mass Day. And so my un-Christmas card is to send them a card like this, saying, "Hey, I wanted to get you a card for that cherished December holiday, and it's Isaac Newton's birthday." Or this other one, there's Bicarbonate of Soda Day, Baking Soda Day on December 30th. So that's another one. It's the same concept there. And then this one, obviously, most people have probably seen the movie Elf by now. It's a beloved Christmas movie now, and so we just took this image from that and applied it to pretty much what everybody feels, or a lot of prospects feel around Christmas time, and as they experience outreach from salespeople. So there's some sample messages for Christmas cards there. We've also got. Let me go back to So we've got some that are a different orientation and then just a different style. You can see this is similar to the first one of those first four. Somewhat of a similar message here. Again, the idea behind these is just to inject some humor and to stand out from the Christmas cards that they're inevitably getting. Some people are going to get a few, some people are going to get a bunch. But just to again, obviously we're standing out and getting attention through these type of things. This is another one related to Isaac Newton there as well. So there are some examples of postcards. Easy to print, easy to send. You guys can get these if you would like to send some out this year. You can get the file and you can print them same day at big box stores a lot of times, and go hand them out. I would say also the economics on the book. If you have a good local printer, we can get you the book cover. And if you have 50 local prospects, if you print like 50 covers with a professionally printed cover that looks great, it's like $100. It's like less than $2, I think, even a cover. And the books are only about $3. So for Christmas or for in the future, you can do local drops, and then even sending those is not a ton of money. So that's some of the economics behind that. Obviously, postcards and letters also super inexpensive to do that. I'm going to put a link in the chat for a place where if you want to get the postcards, you can get them for half off since you are here on this webinar. And if you get them, send me a direct message and I'll send you the file for the Christmas cover. I'm going to change a little bit away from like medical stuff, but I'll send you a file so you can have that for the future, or for now, if you could get it printed pretty quickly as well. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jeremiah. Reach out to Jeremiah if you want to get those super dope templates for your Christmas cards. Let's jump to Ollie. Ollie, you're taking us home here, okay? So
yeah, let's do it. Well, it's
a lot of expectation here, bro. Okay, just want to like lay that out real quick. All right, let's go.
No problem. I'm ready, coach. Put me in. So that's cool. So first of all, it was a no-brainer to be part of the Sales Rebellion, and sponsor Totality. When Jeremiah reached out to us, it was, obviously there was a financial commitment, but really it was more than that. It was just speaking the same language that I've always spoke personally, but then also now for the company that I work with, Scribers. So, and also, I know I've told you this story, but when I was working, I'm only 45, but I've been around the block a little bit in the game. I worked for a pretty cool creative agency in London, where I was a business development manager, given a CSV sheet and a phone and told to make it happen, basically. And I was trying to get in front of the big FMCG companies, Nestle, Mondelez, etc. And it's good, it's just a nightmare to get in front of them, trying to reach the global CMO, marketing directors, etc. Happened to pick up the book, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. And I remember reading it and thought, hey, there's something in this. Maybe I can do that. I walked into my garden. I picked up a rock. I went into my granddad's garage to stole a pink paint, and I spray painted some rocks pink. This one's orange, just as a reenactment. And I remember putting them into Jiffy bags and sending them out to the name of the marketing director at this business. 2 weeks later, I rang up the gatekeeper, because that's the only number you had in those days. We didn't have mobile numbers. It was just the gatekeeper. And I said, hey, it's Ollie, the Pink Rock Man. Put me through. And they were like, what? Who the hell's the Pink Rock Man? But they were so intrigued that they put me through. And I ended up basically having some really cool conversations that ended ultimately winning business. So from there, that was always had a love with direct mail and the world of contact marketing itself. So I'm just going to jump into a few slides now. I won't bore you with a slide deck as too much as possible, but it just gives a bit of visual aid to making sure we're on the same page. So if you can just shout, anyone on the gang, making sure I've got this working. Let's go. All right. Can you see that okay, everyone? Oh, if I go full screen.
Shout.
Slideshow. Let's go. Right. So actually, before I start working with Scribers, sort of a bit of context, I was working for a lead generation agency called Leadable, just doing very high-end account-based marketing, where we had a team of copywriters. This is before AI came in and basically put one out of job, bless them. We had a team of copywriters doing very high-end outreach across email. Then we had obviously thought, how can we add in a piece of direct mail at scale to show that we're adding personalization here to start conversations that are really hard to reach jaded decision makers. So we were spending a lot of money with Scribers. And the moment I left Scribers, I was knocking on the door of the business saying, hey, you got to let me in here. I want to work for you. This is red hot. The reason being here is, it's obviously going to click off my screen, is I'm sure there's a lot of people I can see in the chat that are BDRs, sales reps, business development managers. We all know how hard it is to get in front of people. I'm not going to fearmonger here. We all know how hard it is to get through to the right people. And especially with email just saturated with AI rubbish as well. We all know how hard it is. So what can we do just to show that we've tried a little bit more here to win their business, or even start a conversation? Ultimately, if you can get a letter in front of them and it's got a handwritten envelope on it, it's got a physical stamp, it will be opened. This is not our just made up stat. This is Royal Mail, USPS backed up. If you can get a letter in front of someone, they will open it, okay? Because it looks like a birthday card, and the envelope is super powerful for that. So again, I'm sure everyone in this call has probably in the past, maybe sent one or understand the pains around how to scale it, but you probably even got carpal tunnel syndrome trying to do that as well. So I'm not trying to come in here to say that picking up a pen and handwriting something yourself is not the way to do it. Of course it is. But there's sometimes going to be a need for way to scale this a bit more, especially if we're trying to break into kind of a larger addressable markets to do so. But at the same time, trying to keep that kind of personalized touch with that as well. So using state-of-the-art inkjet printers, really high quality, rough card texture, and our secret sources. Back in 2018, we started with humans. Humans didn't scale, so we then went to robots. You've probably seen the CAD with holding a pen. Then we moved to algorithmic handwriting styles. So we have a selection of handwriting styles that mimic the way the humans write. And that has, for example, each in the alphabet had 20 different variants of the letter, and even mimics the way the ink would flow. As you can see there at the bottom, the way it will kind of look richer and darker. You combine those together, you can get a very, very powerful illusion that this is handwritten. And again, I suggest if you want to put the proof in the pudding, anyone reach out to me, I'll send you samples and you can see this for yourself. So account-based marketing, that gets thrown around, it's a bit of a buzzword. And what does that mean? That's really interesting from a point of like what everyone is saying here, the difference between personalization and relevancy. It's not like, hey, you like cats, I like cats, let's be best friends. Specifically when I was working in kind of lead generation agency land, it's like identifying the target accounts. So these people are already kind of quantitatively qualified already. They're the right ICP, they're the right size, they're the right, they fit the right type of client that you want to do. And then ultimately the same job titles within there. So you want to be able to create personalized and relevant context. And I'm a big believer in relevancy of personalization to show that you know their world, their sector, their industry, what they're up to, their job titles, their KPIs, and then tie that back in a way that shows with social proof that you can help them. So they're already qualified in a way to be in this process as well. Then just sending out a letter on its own, we all know this as well. You've got to follow up. Just sending a piece of direct mail, you've got to follow up with calling, social, email, whatever that might be. And the way I've always liked to use this is using the copy of the letter is the signpost to other channels that you might be sending. So for example, up here in the Atom Learning, beg my pardon, we'll have a bit of personalization, relevancy, into a bit of value proposition, social proof. Then the call to action is, hey, rest assured, I'm a salesperson, keep an eye out for my emails and other channels that I might be reaching out to. So when that email hits their inbox, or when you call them, you could say, hey, Stu, it's Ollie here. Don't suppose you got my letter by any chance? It's a real nice pattern interrupt as well. And when they see that email in the inbox, they're more likely to open it because they'll just join the dots in the brand in their mind. So it's just like a physical advertising touch point. Really important as well on ABM, of course, you want to be able to track this. You want to iterate, you want to improve. So being able to add QR codes or trackable URLs, making sure you have that full circle loop back and making sure that what you're sending out is trackable. And exactly like we're saying here, monitor, optimize across all channels. And that's super important in modern ABM styles and sales and marketing initiatives out there. So I speak to hundreds and hundreds of very clever people doing this across all types of different sectors and verticals. So just a little social proof here. Very lucky to work with some pretty cool AEs and characters. This pretty muddy image here, but what this is just showing is I basically reached out to some people who I really respect and AEs and some pretty cool companies and said, hey, how are you getting on? They were saying, shock horror, it's pretty bloody hard at the moment, pardon my language. I said, hey, here's some credits, send out some letters, and if you can follow up that, because I know you got something to say, I know you're good at your job. The hypothesis is if we can chuck in a bit of direct mail here, a letter, will that increase your pickup rate or engagement rate across other channels? And shock horror it is. And ended up winning some pretty big contracts with these two subscribers as well. So we really put the proof is in the pudding, as you say. So here's some nice examples as well for ABM. So obviously I know that Dale and team do some awesome stuff and I love everything they do as well. It's just sometimes how can we scale this in a maybe a little bit more cost-effective way? So for example, here on the left, it's a Zinc, pretty cool HR SaaS company, and they put candles, the box is like a scented candle in there. So, and also combining that with a flyer and just a nice, simple direct mail piece there. On the right-hand side, it's Nested, which is a pretty cool real estate agency in the UK, one of the biggest ones. And they just wanted to have, an orange envelope, pretty self-explanatory and pretty simple. Then Sonar, there's a nice one here. They use the chocolate bar as well. So the point is, you have the letter, which is clean and simple, which is the messaging. And I'm a big believer in that. I like all the kind of the things that cut through the noise, but really when you get someone's attention, you want to show that you know them. Not, like I said, not them personally, but you know their business, you know their job title, and you can believe me well help them. And maybe now might be a good time for them to talk to you. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Again, so I'm a big believer in a bit of humor as well, So it's full duplex print, those cards and the kind of creative that Jeremiah showed, we can do, of course. I sent out these ones this year, my good old face swap myself on there. So any kind of seasonal fun you can do. It doesn't have to be quite dry, but a lot of our customers, they're sensible and they don't want to rock the boat, but by all means, doesn't mean you have to be that way. Of course, you can be rebellious and do something a bit more fun as well with that. Just a bit of a case study here for Atom Learning. This is a SaaS platform who's trying to get in front of some head teachers, pretty schools, and they're pretty hard to get in touch of. So they're not sitting there reading their emails all day. So they sent out a letter, ended up with 10.2 response rate, 350K referred revenue, and 54 partners on board. And we've got tons of case studies to back this up as well. Funnel, I know I saw someone in the chat talked about this as well. It's about where can you use this rather than just prospecting. Of course, prospecting is a great way to do that, to capture attention, just have that physical digital brand touch point in front of people, that recognition, say, hey, we exist, we're here, and create awareness. And that's super important. Bottler funnel, build trust, keep prospects engaged throughout the follow-ups, like we were saying, around the pipeline stages. You can put this in all different stages. After a successful demo, after you send out a proposal, someone might be ghosting you. You could put a bit of fun, a bit of humor, like with Stu, with the butterfly, etc. Conversion, bottom of the funnel. And this is really nice, maybe 10 from your CEO or someone in the C-suite or someone in leadership when you're an A or a sales rep. Just to have a handwritten note from leadership saying, I believe you spoke to Wally. He's doing some good stuff with you. We'd really want to win your business. Really useful for multi-threading into enterprise accounts to add another touch point from someone else as well. Then, of course, big business here, especially when I speak to a lot of the rebels over when I've had meetings after the totality is, it's timing, isn't it? The big part is it. How can you make sure that you're in their mind at that right time? And not just being that, jumping on saying, hey, you're now up for renewal, can we have your business? It's using that in the cadence accordingly. And I can talk more about that as well, because that's really important, how we can integrate with your tech stack as well, to making sure that your reps can do that in an automated way so they don't drop the ball and forget those nurturing touch points across that. And re-engagement, really great. I send these out to all my closed loss deals, there's a bit of humor on that, just to send out probably once every quarter, I pull up a list of all my closed loss deals and send them a funny card to try and re-engage them as well. Then I just want to show you this as well. This is kind of, I know everyone always likes to know, where should I put handwritten letters in my cadence? So what's kind of worked for me, and again, this is not me just saying it works for, it's all different for everyone, but this is what I found that works for me. Day one, send them a letter. A couple of days afterwards, introductory phone call. It's like, hey Dale, Ollie here, never spoken to you before. Appreciate it's probably a bit of interruption. Don't suppose you got my letter by any chance? And it just shows a bit of pattern interrupt, bit of personalization. And it doesn't make you sound like every sales rep out there. And it's amazing what that can happen. Back that up with follow up with an email, and using that letter to signpost to the email within the call to action has a really, really great way of increasing the reply rates across your email channels. Maybe they're not going to reply, say, book a meeting straight away, but it's amazing that sometimes they just feel more obliged to give you a bit of insight, saying, not me, not now, and not timing or something. Notice you get a decent uptick in reply rates across your email as well. And LinkedIn connection, I just slide into your DMs and say, hey, don't suppose you got my letter? Again, if they say no, it's still an open conversation, just something that's a bit more different to everyone else. When everyone goes left, try and go a bit right. Again, follow-up call after that, usually classic kind of sequence, but really using kind of direct mail and phone as the main touch points there. So I was going to jump into a quick platform. Rebellious is a SaaS platform, so you can log in at any time and use this yourself. And I invite anyone to do that as well. But what I'm going to show you now is actually our V2 platform, which is literally going to be launched in January. So people will be able to come in, log in, and choose the type of template that they want to create. Is that a flat card, a folded card, a letter, envelope only, and all these different variants. So that would then create a template and have a really smart UI and UX, which I'm not going to show you now, how you can drag and drop, and you can create your design and create your template. Then you're going to build out your campaign. It's pretty much like an email campaign as you expect. You've seen other tools. A campaign is defined by the creative, the template type. Are we going to send it on your behalf? Is it going to have first class, second class stamps? And just to be clear, we can send fully globally as well with our production facilities, East Coast, West Coast, Canada, soon to be in Texas, and also in UK and main continent Europe as well. From there, we then have a dashboard. And this is really important for ABM, making sure that you can track attribution. So when you send out that card, you could have a QR code on there, as you can see at the top here, mail sent, processing to show how they are processing through the kind of the flow of being sent out, and then ultimately maybe how many people have scanned that QR code. And then from there, you could tie that back into your existing tech stack or CRM and create some kind of workflow for your other reps to do or yourself to action. So simplest way, if someone scans something, that's going to take create a task in Salesforce for Timmy to call them, or whatever that might be. Also, we created a really cool white paper for totality, which is pretty valuable, actually. So I'm going to forward that over to everyone who attends this event. In a follow-up email, we're making sure that you have access to that. But ultimately, I'd love to put it to test of anyone who wants to give it a go. Reach out to me. And also, just a bit of fun. I always like to do this on these type of webinars. The first person to find my number, which it's out there, and text me or call me on my mobile, whatever you want, can have 50 free credits to give this a spin. But also, I'd love to get everyone onto the platform, have a play around with it, and just get you using it. But yeah, that's me. Thank you for letting me waffle on, a bit of a presentation there. Happy to take any questions or anything like that, really.
Good stuff. If anybody has any questions, please drop over in the chat real quick before we wrap. Mark Jones had a question. It was a general question. How do you look at connecting that whole experience together? This goes back to earlier when Jeremiah was speaking. I'm not bad at finding funny or creative things, etc., individual stuff, but what goes through your minds when you judge what is a connected experience? Anybody want to jump in on answering this one for Mark before I start yapping too much? Uh-oh, he's on it, but he's muted. If anybody makes a boomer joke, I'll slice you. This man is my silent mentor.
There we go. Okay, so I'm just saying you might be the best one to answer that. Maybe best muted anyway.
Going to answer it. Does anybody else have any thoughts they want to throw down on this one?
For me, it's just tying back. Like, I know I'm probably a bit more drier than most people with this, but it's really tying back to what the relevancy of what you're reaching out to as well, as much as you can. It's all nice and fun having some of the kind of the gimmicks, but the better you can tie it back to what a particular pain or priority that they might have in their job title, I think can have make it convert a lot better, in my humble opinion.
Any other thoughts from the peanut gallery?
I'm waiting. I want to hear what you have to say. I think you're going to have
that's $1,000. That's $1,000 a minute, Stu. Okay, but yeah, okay, fine. Since I'm here, I'll answer the question. I think that everything, from an experiential standpoint, everything has to be based around when you create your campaigns, not trying to be so hyper personalized, if you will, that everybody has their own unique individual experience. I think that you can take a subject that most people suffer in or from. That could be a negative stereotype inside of the thing you fix. That could be a common interest of the business. So if I'm working with a funeral home as an example, it's much different. And I'm selling them a copy machine. So let's just go to like my old transactional days. It is a much different sale than selling to somebody that works in a bank, as an example. It might feel the same when you go into them very cold and dark places. Just kidding. But it's much different between the two of these two groups. So the idea is to kind of come up with a common theme around what the problem is, because here's the thing, is that the bank suffers from the same issues that the funeral home suffers from when it comes to the process that we helped. So, either one of them could kind of get a very similar experience, if you will, that would feel hyper personalized around the relevance that they suffer from or the familiarity that they go through on a daily basis. So for me, like if I were to find some personal, like a person's birthday, as an example, in the middle of a 2-year sales cycle that I'm working with this particular person, I'm still going to do it. I'm not just going to go get like a birthday cake, right? I'm going to think about like, what is the aesthetic of what I've been dropping off in general? What is it? How has it felt and looked in regards to the way that this person has received those things? So that way I'm not just like this very random person that very randomly does all these things to try and get a sale, but instead I'm very calculated. I'm very meticulous. I operate in excellence. And I think about the experience of this person from the standpoint of what will make them feel better, as opposed to what will make them want to buy from me. So I think if we go back to this identity of how we make people feel, that's what matters the most. I just seen a post recently. It was probably right before this call started or right at the beginning of it, where someone was talking about people sending DMs on Slack as outreach methodology now. So you get an email that says like, hey, this person wants to talk to you, send a private message to you on Slack. Do you accept? And so they kind of infiltrate like your personal space by doing these things. You want to know why people are doing these things? Because they're so desperate to sell something. And everyone out there is literally smelling, breathing, and believing that that's what salespeople are about. They don't believe that salespeople are here for their best interest. They don't believe that salespeople are here to help, are here to develop anything more than how much commission that they can rake in this month, this quarter, this year. And look, do you blame them? I don't. So to me, when it comes down to the ultimate, the roots, I should say, of the question itself and the way that we would structure how to make the experience better is to think beyond the sale. Stop thinking in terms of transaction and start thinking in terms of how you make people feel and the relevance of the information that you need to gather in order to do that. Look, you don't have to go and like ask people like, so who's your favorite football team? Or, you don't have to like be a stereotype yourself in the way you gather this information. It can happen very naturally just in common communication that we have with people. And a lot of the times it really literally exists in the simplest forms of the way that we start those relationships. A crumpled piece of paper, a handwritten note, whatever the case, it is all about the foundation that we build, and then that first impression becoming a lasting impression that continues throughout the process of getting to know people. Ladies and gentlemen, we are way over time. We are grateful to all of you for being here today. Thank you to Ollie and Scribeless for everything that they do for the Rebels, being at Totality, being here today to share their infinite wisdom. Thank you to Stu, the man of the hour. Who is literally a rebel now, y'all. Like, if you weren't at Totality, you don't know. But if you were, you're like, this guy, he is the man. So, Stu, thanks for being here. Thanks for your story. Thanks for your wisdom. Thanks for your how did I get started in cartoons? The legend of how I got started in cartoons. Jeremiah, thank you also for all you do at TSR. Happy freaking birthday. Thanks for showing everybody these amazing things that you've concocted and created for the Rebels to set more appointments, build better relationships, have just a greater foundation of sales practice that will make people love coming to their place of work to do the job in the first place. All of you in attendance, Corbin, John, Jason, I can't name you all. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. There will be a replay of this that we'll email out to everybody as well, too. In the meantime, make sure that if you're not in Refuge, our free Slack channel full of resources, knowledge, wisdom, and empowerment by lots of the community of Rebels, make sure that you get into the Refuge. Make sure that you go and get a ticket for Totality. We've already sold like 30 of them. And we're capping it at 125. So you better freaking hurry up and get over there. Hopefully we'll see you in August of 2025. And if you're at the cusp of hitting quota or at the end of your year and still having to work a little bit because of some of the metrics and ultimately some of the places that you could be, first off, I'm sorry you didn't get there earlier. Second, we love you. We appreciate you. And hopefully you learned something from this call today that you can take away that will hopefully get that one deal that you had hanging over the finish line. But if not, be patient, Rebels. Have a great 2025 that hits you or helps you hit that quota in August or September or October, so you don't have to be suffering into the Christmas season. And you can just have some fun with the things that we talked about today instead. That is the way of Rebellion and the way to ultimately achieve freedom inside of your sales walk. Again, to our speakers, thanks for being here. To our sponsor, Scribeless, thank you for everything that you do for our organization. And for all you attendees, have a very rebellious and Merry Christmas. We love you all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Thanks for coming. Cheers, everyone.